look up your YouTube as
Hey.
well.
Yeah, I will keep that tab closed. Okay, hello everyone. This is Coffee with Composers, and I'm here today with composer Travis Lohmann. Thank you for being here,
Hello,
Travis.
everyone.
There we go. Yes, no worries, Amy. Thank you so much for being here with me, inviting me on your show. I'm so excited to be here. So I appreciate you having me on for today.
That's amazing. Now, if we have a browser tab open with YouTube, we'll close that one down and just keep
Okay,
StreamYard open.
sure
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, you're good because it just started to echo back. Okay, Sounds of Encouragement is here with Melissa Slocum. It's great to see you here today, Melissa, and such a big supporter. I know that Travis has composed some music for you as well, and I know that Susan is here as well, and another great supporter here.
Awesome.
And of Travis too, which is lovely. You've got some groupies, Travis.
Oh,
Way to put you on the spot with that. So, so if you're new here, coming on live today or here on the replay, feel free to say hello in the comments and let us know where you're listening in from today. And today is St. Patrick's Day here. I
yes.
don't know if any of you celebrate. I don't really, although I am Irish. But it's always fun. The kids and I made leprechaun traps
Oh,
yesterday.
that's awesome.
We didn't catch any leprechauns, but it was really fun.
That's
So,
great.
okay. So today is all about kind of that behind the scenes with Travis. And I think it's such a gift as music educators and fellow composers and pianists to learn about what's involved when it comes to great composers and compositions that are happening every day. And so, Travis, you've just really inspired me alongside others, but what I saw really shine in your compositions is this incredible ear for detail. You have beautiful melodies and all these rhythmic nuances and these jazz flavors. I sat down the other day and didn't play skillfully through the whole book, but I did play through the whole book. And I thought, oh, it made me feel like a jazz pianist. So I love that. So that was great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll start out with some questions here, and I know this is really fast paced, but I'll
It's
take
fine.
a deep breath here. So we'll start way back when, just for a quick recap of who you are and what your roots are. And I know that you started playing piano very young, so I'll let you tell our audience when that was, and then if there's a standout moment in your youth that hinted at your future as a composer or if that came later on.
Yeah, so you're right. I did start playing piano at a very young age. I actually started when I was 4. So as with traditional classical lessons all throughout elementary school, middle and high. And there was a distinction for me in high school actually when there was this hint of what could possibly happen with music and technology specifically.
Yeah.
And I went to a magnet school specifically for technology, computers. We had law and business and finances. Your majors that you major in. So as a teen, I was majoring in computer science and doing computer programming and whatnot, and doing site design as well as in the class. And one day it must have been either 10th or 11th, there was someone who installed music software on the school computers, which I'm assuming it wasn't even allowed. I don't even know how it got, but it was there. And I walked in one day, and there was this new program that was on the computer. I didn't know what it was, and before you know it, it's like I was finding like instruments and sounds that you control with typing keyboard as well. And I was like, this is so bizarre. I mean, it was my first time I'm interacting with like a sequencer software, and that gave like this kind of hint as in maybe you can go further.
Yeah. Oh, that is so neat. And I love how you were set for success. I'm just closing your browser tab. You were set for success in that you had access to music education, but I love that it was actually that technology part that really made it happen for you, it sounds like, hey?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's really unique to some composers that I've talked to before are more coming from the perspective of that creative aspect where they're starting on the keyboard. They're maybe more that right-brained, like plunking out with notes and stuff.
Sure.
And so what I noticed too when I read your bio, I was like, oh, I don't see a lot of composers that have that, programming languages in their bio. My husband's a computer science guy too. So when I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Java and C++, this is different for a composer.
Yeah.
But I love that kind of gave you this opportunity and opened up a window. And then maybe, like you say, it might not have even been intentional that
Right.
software was there.
Totally not intentional, but I was just like, this is so cool that like I can sit down on a computer and there's not even a piano keyboard available. I'm literally like plunking in and using my notes. I was like, wait a second. So it's like I can just chords and stuff on here. This is so weird, but it's like
Wow.
yeah.
That is amazing. So we're going to dive more into that because I think some of the composers that are here too are curious. They're like, Travis is doing film scores and you've got solos. And they're like, okay, tell us more. So we also have some really special guests that have come in as supporters. I'll pop them up on the screen here. Marcus, he talks about live streaming lots on his channel. So it's good to have you here, Marcus. And Marianne is a organizer extraordinaire. She has such great abilities to track habit tracking, and she's very inspiring on her channel. And thank you, Marianne, for being here. And then I remember you, Hayden. So Hayden is curious, and actually Travis has more knowledge about this than even I do. And Hayden is one that wants to arrange music for things like kids' toys. So I love that idea of like a real specific niche that's like making good music for something specific. And so I had said to Hayden in a previous live stream, I said that I had actually reached out to VTech Toys. And of course, I'm just a small guy. I haven't heard back from them, but it's on my radar, Hayden, to connect you with the right people. And
I think I vaguely remember VTech. I think I vaguely remember company.
Oh, yeah. And they actually have really strong toys. I have 3 boys under 9, and I really like their toys. So I thought, oh, I love that you were thinking like something like VTech, Fisher-Price, some of those ones that have music. So we'll keep thinking about that, Hayden. So I'm glad you're here. And Marcus, I love the only thing you know about music is how to listen to it. We need listeners, right, Travis?
Lord knows we do. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And then, Susan's all about the logic info. I love it. So we're just so stoked that all of you are here and so enthusiastic. So while we just work our way to logic and for finding out more about your setup, is there a teacher after that point? Because it sounds like your early teachers were more about like probably drilling pianistic
lessons,
abilities.
Piano lessons, piano technique, and repertoire was basically my childhood through high school years. I didn't formally start studying composition until technically that would have been my graduate school years. I did go to college for jazz and performance, so on that end, the bachelor's degree was piano performance per se. Started doing small like compositions, then not studying formally, like legitimately as the major, but writing lead sheets, writing tunes, learning about form and structure. So since I'm reading the question right now, is there a teacher that stands out in my mind as like, with the tools that I've utilized? Well, definitely my college professor for jazz piano, Dave Loeb, was a huge influence to me. And anyone that knows Dave knows that he is a heavyweight amongst heavyweights in terms of studio musician, arranger, orchestrator, composer. He played Family Guy, American Dad, the Cleveland Show. He played for the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra as their keyboardist doing that. So just all around great dude. And just teaching me just things about structure, chord progressions, harmonies, working tunes with me. One of the standout moments for me was when we go down to the 20th Century Fox studios to watch a Family Guy session. This would have been in my junior year of college, and actually getting to watch the orchestra there perform in real time. The music for the show was like amazing for me to see. So that, and then my jazz composition professor, Nathan Tenoy, who is also in his own right a very big heavyweight ranges for Celine Dion,
Wow.
all that big band stuff. Great musician, just taught me about utilizing color, utilizing orchestration a little bit more. So
Mhm.
in terms of the formal composition training, those guys definitely.
Yeah.
As far as the electronic side of things, so it's been a lot of self-discovery, honestly.
Mhm.
Self-discovery, a lot of trial by error, more error than successes, but a lot of learning
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, you touch on something really important there, and I think a lot of creatives will feel that is that lots of it is just digging in, doing the work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that can be a discouraging place sometimes. I know I sense those vibes when you're just working so hard to create, and it's hard to know when you're on the right track or when you've got something that's really going to catch hold. So I
Right,
just
right.
have so much admiration for that tenacity because it's like I think a lot of people can glamorize the life of a composer. It just seems like the coolest initiative, but lots of composers are also working other jobs. They're doing other things well. And I know Travis is also, is it middle school that you're teaching?
Yes, so it's junior high, specifically string orchestra,
Yeah.
in addition to my church job and private lessons as well. So
Yeah.
you kind of run the whole gamut. But it's all music related, which is
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Yeah, and it gets you again like feet on the ground, right? I think it can be very insular to be composing and on your own, and I think you get out into the world and doing other musical things, and I think it all feeds into that inspiration as well. So I love that. And I was thinking, was there anything you would have changed about early music educators that could have given you that spark or opportunity sooner, or do you really think that it came to you at the right time?
I mean, honestly, I think it came at the right time. I don't think composition was really on my radar at all. Going for my child through high school years,
Yeah.
really. I mean, it just wasn't really anything that I thought about.
Yeah.
It was a lot about forming, learning, increased difficulty of repertoire. Bettering your technique. Compositions really that even I don't think registered on my radar at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I love and I think this is another theme that I've noticed is we always kind of worry if students aren't given that opportunity young or if we're not like nurturing it as a piano teacher or a musician that there'll be lost opportunity. And I think what I'm seeing is I've been interviewing composers like yourself over this wild span of decades. So talking to people, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s,
Yeah,
and we have Marlena, who's in her 80s and
yeah,
still creating.
yes,
And I think even if you're a listener today too, and maybe you haven't even started making music yet, I think that's so hopeful because
yes,
creativity isn't like, we can always get more active. We can always like play a sport or we can do those things. But music making actually really suits being a lifelong endeavor. So I think that that is really neat that you highlight
yes.
that too, that it started later, but you're still young and with all this potential ahead of you as well. So I popped up a question to our audience and said, like, coffee or tea? I'm here with my coffee today. Are you a tea drinker, coffee, or clear
You know,
water for you?
Honestly, for me, it's both. Coffee in the morning and then afternoon tea, or sometimes in the evening, late evening tea for me. Usually green tea or some sort of like variation. Kale, obviously, is a huge one for
Yeah.
me.
Love it,
Yes.
love it. So Susan says here that you show a lot of your processes online and shows what you're working on so you can see pieces before they're finished. And she was saying that's really helpful for other people to see. So I love that too. And it's quite something to be like this musician, composer, supposed to be focused on like composition and work, but then you're also trying that like promoting, right? And marketing, which I know Susan knows that journey well. How do you find that?
I honestly just sharing the processes and all that is kind of just it's kind of nice for me to just see how things progress as well. It's a small snapshot in time
Yeah.
to see where things started at and just getting a chance to see that end product. So, like with the most recent track or tracks that I've been working, they're just kind of set course of time where we started with nothing. Literally, I've been starting with a blank, because that might change over the next few months. I don't know, but I literally start with a blank canvas and just start going from that. And it's just nice kind of see everything unfold.
Yeah, that's really cool. We'll take that little detour to listen to something that you've been working on. Should I play a zero sum?
Yeah, you can go ahead and play a little bit of
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll just listen to a little sneak peek and tell us a little bit about what this piece is and like what's behind working on these more film score or TV show music tracks.
Yeah, so this specific one, this was done late last year. It was towards Thanksgiving break wrapping up, and it was written for a music publisher that I had found via Facebook, and they were looking to get instrumental genre of music going for their catalog. So I figured I'd submit 2 pieces, and this was my first real foray into like movie trailer music and whatnot. So that and putting it together was a huge task of being able to put that through. But it was a lot of fun, and it was kind of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. Oh, I can totally envision that, right? With spaghetti noodles. Here, I'll play a little sneak peek. We'll see if it comes through.
Sure.
Can you hear that on your side?
I can't.
Maybe our listeners could let us know if they hear that track. Do you hear that track in the background for you guys?
Hopefully they do.
Yeah.
I hope they do. If they don't, it might be the audio routing, possibly.
So this one would come from the stream. If you didn't hear it, I'll link up some of your resources on your side, and we'll direct people to the cool things that you have. So let's hear. Someone mentioned in the comments. Oh, good. Everyone else heard it. So yeah. So Sounds of Encouragement says you mostly write for film. Do you also write for students sometimes too? That's a great question from Melissa.
And Melissa knows me pretty well in the sense that I worked for her Music Grow ad as well. And I got a chance to write music for her. But yes, for Piano Pronto specifically, who I signed with in 2016, I've been in summer of 2016. I started writing more, educationally geared repertoire towards students, mainly focusing on, intermediate, late intermediate, and advanced students repertoire. And I have it here, but
let's see a sneak peek.
So this was so Sonic Bouquet was the first collection. Portrait is coming. So Portraits is the second collection.
Oh, perfect.
But so Sonic Bouquet here. This was the first compilation with Pronto. And huge shout out to Jennifer for Eklund or music. She does so much arduous work in terms of engraving and just making stuff look pretty. Because I mean, it's like I don't do nearly as much clean work and making it look pretty as she does. And turning it into this amazing product.
Yeah, and that's such a big thing, hey, to make music happen. And again, some of our listeners, I love today, we have listeners that don't play music, just love listening to music. We have composers, we have music teachers. So we'll link this portraits piece or collection, the Sonic Bouquet, in the comments. And I'll give everyone a sneak peek of that one too, because I think I didn't load that one up. So what we'll do is we'll give a sneak peek of Melissa's. This is a trailer for her website. And this is a little bit of Music Grow. So here's another one you guys can listen to.
Sure.
And you might not be able to hear it, but they can let us know.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it on mine, but that's okay. All about them.
That's right. Let us know in the comments if you hear this and what mood it evokes for you.
Oh, good that you're hearing it.
Yeah.
This is just awesome.
Oh, good. So that's so special, and I'm just filling in the comments here. So Yeah, you guys can hear it going crazy in the kitchen. It's nice to have you here as well. And sounds of encouragement, you can hear it. Happy expectations. Isn't that a beautiful word for Melissa's music that you wrote, Travis? Because
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Melissa's whole vision for her music making alongside students and mentoring teachers, it's called Music Grow. So the fact that you heard happy expectations, I think that is so fabulous. Melissa can let us know if that's something that resonates too. And Susan says excitement, anticipation. And I felt like the track is really uplifting, Travis. I think it really suits what Melissa's goal is to encourage and inspire. And so I love that your music captured that feeling.
Yeah, so definitely for that one, that was the vibe, and luckily, it gave me the video footage. I was actually able to load software first, so I was actually scoring it along with what's happening on the scenes, just trying to hit parts or highlight certain things or accentuate certain things, which was a lot of fun, and I know obviously some of the viewers asking the more technology side of it. I'm more than willing to present my script, what I've been working on to, and I maybe share all around. So I'm
This is a great segue for that. So, Travis is saying here today that he was actually watching a video while he was scoring this. Hey, so capturing that mood was happening as you took in the visuals from that. And that was actually a question my husband Jeff had last night. I was showing him some of your stuff, and he was like, yeah, that's a whole unique thing. And it actually got us listening when we were watching Netflix. We were actually listening to the music, and we were like, Jeff was like, oh, I could see Travis's music like on this show. So that was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. So let's have you show us what kind of your workflow is. We're all here. We're kind of curious. Like, what does this look like when you're working on a piece like this?
Sure. So let me see here. Screen sharing. Do I get to share? I've never done this before.
Yeah, we've not done it on.
There we go. So window, boom.
Oh yeah, cool.
Can you all see?
Yeah, and I can add that to the stream. There we go. Look at that, guys.
Cool. Now, am I able to tab back and forth? Awesome. Oh, cool. And then I get like a mini screenshot. Oh, all right. So, for example, this is one of the most recent tracks I just wrapped up for hopefully sure that'll take all 5 of these we call crime drama kind of library tracks. And for those that aren't familiar with library music, what it is you have music supervisors that are scouting out music for television show, and they usually go to library catalog, music library catalog, where you can choose music that might fit appropriately underneath certain parts scenes for either TV, film, or games. We call that underscore. Its sole purpose is to underneath everything that's happening. It's not gonna provide any dialogue. It's not gonna overtake any sort of scenes. So, for example, this is kind of what I got here. Let me see if I can play just a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Through. Hopefully, there's no echo if I take it from I don't know. Is that coming through?
It is. And let us know in the audience if that's coming through for you.
I hope so. So now I know it might look intimidating all this.
It's a bit harder to hear the audio with the music in, but.
Oh, right. So I'll pause right here.
Yeah, pause it right there.
Yeah. So, saying, it might look a little intimidating to look at the screen here because you got like, a bunch of things everywhere, colored rectangles, various, shades and whatnot, and for anyone getting into music technology, it might look a little bit daunting. I'll try to break this down as best as I can. So the way that I organize things is I keep it by instrument type. So each one of these things here is an instrument. So for example, like piano up at the top. Let's say if I want like it sounds like this, where it's kind of like top sound. Right, hear that?
Oh yeah, I hear it.
Right, so we got that, but you got like all of your other type sounds. You can get anything like what's a good one? stuff like this. Sound effects, also the sorted things. All my electronic type sounds, they're all here. If I ever need to use any sort of punctuate effects, things like this, So I have it organized such. Any sort of what we call hits or impacts, big giant sounds to punctuate it. So
wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. Where things get really fun is when you get into things like the strings. So all the purple here, and that's just me purely choosing purple. I've got my string sounds here. You can see my keyboard outside, but this is where I have all my control at. So for example, if I want to play, I'll just over here. Hear that?
Yep.
So
Wow.
You'll see sheet music here. I just have on Logic's score here, but Logic, can display the sheet music if you need to. And so we just got all those there. I can just clickety click.
I like that clickety click.
Right, all this stuff here, really cool.
Yeah.
Because I'll throw in custom effects. So like for me, one of my big things is the cello colegno, as we call it, or using the stick of the bow to It's really cool to kind of an extra effect. And then I keep my percussion at the end here. If I ever want to do any percussive stuff. So all of things. Yeah, is it kind of cool?
It's very cool. And I actually have a question from Susan Staples Bell here, because I think what you're demonstrating, you've got this ability to use your keyboard to generate a lot of those sounds. So are you creating those sounds yourself as well, or do you use a sound library, like something like?
So these are all 98%, 99% of these sounds. They aren't already in Logic because they're all third-party software, but they are compatible to be used within Logic. So for example, I'll just pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up because Susan's
it's easier. It's easier for me to explain. So Contact is one of the what we call a sampler, and Contact is a sampler that allows you to load these third-party libraries into it. So for example, here's one I have here that's loaded. It's set to my short strings for violins, and so if I'm able right, so I can play as such. So these are all third-party libraries that I'm using. I rarely use the Logic built-in stuff, the Apple built-in stuff, just because quality-wise, a lot of these work better for me. Let me give another one. So like legato strings, for example.
Yeah.
This is the same. This is kind of my go strings here. But let's say that I'm playing. So I kind of saw it through and play stuff and it's literally just lush quality to it.
Yeah.
But another one, like I was showing you before, the low strings. This is a library, which I recently really cool stuff. So low strings, you got these very it's like a really bitey, punchy type short string sounds. So I can use that advantage.
That's so neat.
Play through. Yeah. So basically what I'm doing is recording each bit at a time. Literally going through and just starting it, adding on, layering. And then I'm looking at Melissa's thing, and so I think it's better to jump in Logic or start with the DAW.
Here.
I mean, specifically GarageBand, Logic are so similar, but for somebody starting off, let's say GarageBand might be easier to wrap the head around, because just starting off with how to add an instrument in and how to tweak instruments. Speaking of tweaking instruments too, so for example, I might do here's another standard go-to library, but again, third-party library, but if I have to tweak things, if I have to add effects, for example, if I want to go through and just change, different types of, this is getting a little bit more into the electronic things, but the sound or the synth of it, I might do that. So this is like a pulsing pad or a pulsar, RJ pulsar. How do you hear that?
Yeah.
So cool with adding, rhythmical drive, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I love how I heard a lot of, like, just so much vast variety in your compositions, and what really stood out to me, and I hope that people looking for great music are gonna find you for these type of things, because something that came to me is that left brain side of you, like that computer science, that detailed composer aspect shone because you had so many micro details that were just like tucked into your tracks in such beautiful ways that I was like, oh my goodness, when you actually tune in and you listen to the music, you're like, that's what makes it so exciting. Like things like the percussive part you just showed us, that builds anticipation. So you can totally hear things differently when you're thinking of it. And I hope too with this series that people just, even if you're a music appreciator and you're not the one composing, I think it can build awareness of like how much work goes into a track of music. And then when you're finding music to listen and you're like, oh, this track costs $1.50 to download, or the sheet music costs, the same as a cup of coffee or $10, then kind of encourages people to like pay for it because you see how much work goes in. Could you estimate for our listeners today? Because I think everyone would be like, how much time would be involved in like a 5-minute track, do you think, of something you're working on?
I mean, going off of this, which is 2.5 minutes. I mean, this took me maybe like, God, I don't even know how long. I'm slow though, to be complete. I'm slow when it comes to this. If I really pushed myself, maybe I could do a 5 thing in like, I don't know, 2.5 weeks if I pushed myself. But that doesn't generally I'll take my time, especially things like this when I'm doing elements. There's a lot of layering involved. You'll notice, like, especially with here, I've paused here, but like I've got the same thing as another library that I use just because of its sound. So like this is a lot of the blending, So I mean, you've got, like, for example, like that, right? If you duplicate that passage, you've got a slightly different sound. I don't know how clear through with the other end. Like, this is where you go into the finer details, like solo that right there, and just do that part, and you've got, right? It just adds a little bit of extra depth,
And
so
those, it's like that quote, the devil's in the details. It just came to mind, right? And it's that labor of love that's behind each composition that we hear. And like Susan says, she's another really, I mean, every composer is like that hardworking, like just laboring over things. Everyone has their different style. So I love that you'll hear some that might work at a different pace, or some that find their inspiration different ways. But regardless of how you come at it, it's a real art, and it takes so much experience and time and exploration. So I love the things that you're doing there. If you're in the audience today and you have another question, let us know. We'd love to hear. And I was just thinking of, if there's anything else in your setup that you'd love to show us. I know you've got a piano there, you have a workstation with a keyboard. So is there any other parts that you want to show us?
I mean, the majority, and honestly, I love this whole place. It's like my favorite to do. But so that little bit there, this guy. So this is my main MIDI controller, but also my first performance keyboard that I got in like 2009. So Korg doesn't make this model anymore, but she has been with me for 14 years, I guess it's been.
Amazing.
So I've got that. I've got a Roland V synth here, which I don't use much, but I use more for electronic stuff. And then let me see what else. So obviously, the main piano here, where I sketch out a lot of ideas. And as far as the piano pronto stuff is concerned, that's actually all done by hand first. So
Yeah.
I write it out that way, and I'll transfer it to a software like Sibelius, which is my music notation software, which allow me to tidy it up some. But this whole place, and everything that you're seeing here, going back to this screen, everything.
Yeah.
This is a lot of it. My setup has changed a lot over the years. I've tried to invest in high quality gear, higher quality speakers. At one point I was doing all my work on the laptop, and I finally got a desktop 2014-ish, and she's been with me as well for what. Some 10 years now, I guess. This computer's still going strong.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's really neat. So you've got all aspects, and I love that you touch on the fact that even though like your film scores, that's happening on this really amazing setup here with software and technology, but you still scratch out those pieces by hand when you're working on piano repertoire. Is that what you were saying? Like that you're just
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I love that. And we'll give a quick listen to one of your piano pieces. I have portrait number 6 here.
Yes.
And I'll play it in the background.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I love that lick. It's the first part, Travis, for you.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So I love, again, you have these like really slow, beautiful sections, and then all of a sudden you'll have this like playful kind of jazz styled fast section. Like you've just got so much nuance in it. Do you have a personal favorite of all the pieces you've worked on that you really, really love?
Are we talking just in general, or are we talking like the piano stuff, or overall?
Oh, just overall.
Oh, just overall. I mean, I feel like, and you have a snippet of portrait number 4 well, but
Yeah.
I feel like portrait number 4 was a huge effort for me writing that one.
Yeah.
That is one's obviously a favorite. Portrait number 6 is a huge one. My first foray into hybrid orchestral music, what we call hybrid orchestral music, merging of electronics and basically like orchestra. That my first debut album came out in like 2020, I believe. That's a huge undertaking for me. That's a very special place in my heart.
Yeah.
A Zero song that you just heard, that was, I really felt like I started to nail the production settings to a higher level than previously.
Nice.
Yeah.
It probably feels like when somebody asks who your favorite child is. It's such an unfair question now that I'm like reflecting on it. I'm like, oh man, I just put you on the spot there. But I love that different qualities come out.
So I will say this. I mean, the upcoming portraits collection, that specifically is geared towards paying homage to composers who I have idolized or just solely just adore their music. And so there's going to be 8 of them, and so far, Thomas Newman was number 1 because he's my all-time favorite film composer. Period. We've got Joe Hisaishi, which is if you watch Studio Ghibli, it's like Howl's Moving Castle.
Yes.
Or Way. Another favorite of mine. He's a very jazz-influenced classical composer as well. Claude Debussy is my all-time favorite classical composer, though he would be lumped in the classical era. As we know, still got this jazzy side and the impressionistic side to him. John Williams was number 4 with Portrait of A.W., although it's more of his earlier style.
Yes.
So the jazzy-ish stuff. Number 5 was the Estonian minimalist composer Arvo Pärt, who I was introduced to through this beautiful piece, Spiegel in Spiegel, which means, I believe, mirror in mirror.
Yes.
And that was, I heard it on NPR one day driving, and it was a violin piano duet. And I pulled over, and I just had to stop.
Beautiful.
Just whole thing, and I was like, this is a 10-minute piece that just literally revolves around, F major for like 35 bars. I was like, really? I was like, how is this working so well? It was just amazing.
Yeah.
So we had that, and number 6, the most recent, thanks to my dear good friend who introduced me to the Brazilian composer Egberto Gismonti, who is multi-instrumentalist, guitar, pianist, jazz style ish.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, I gotta do something that's kind of a tribute to that as well. And so especially with these past portraits, 6 and number 4 specifically.
Yeah.
Pre-planning that goes into them. Portrait number 4, I spent like 3 months dissecting one of John Williams' older work and just learning it myself first before attempting, and I'm trying to figure out, like, wait a minute. So he's using this harmony, that. There's some polyrhythm things sneak in there, which is really, I want to try to pull that off. I want to be able to use, maybe I want to try to use this type of device.
Yeah.
He's doing a change here. I'll try to do that same thing, and then also portrait number 6, getting those unique harmonies in, or getting, kind of these obscure abstract dissonances that might not work usually, but finding a way to make them work.
Exactly. I love that. And then do you have a plan for number 8? I think you said 7 so far.
So 7 is going to be Johan Johannesson, who is the Finland or former Finlandian film composer, who is no longer with us, but he wrote the music for films like Cesario, Arrival, The Theory of Everything, which is the Stephen Hawking film with who's the dude? I forget. It's gonna come back to me.
It'll come.
It's a very minimalistic piece. And then I'm planning on doing a tribute to one of our very own piano pronto composers. So I'm planning on doing that. It's gonna be complex. It's going to be a little whimsical. Going to be a little bit discordant. I'm gonna try my best. What is it? Imitation, the best form of flattery.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, I love that. And that's something that our audience can look forward to. What I'll do is in the video description, I'm going to link back so that people can actually go listen to some performances of your pieces for your piano works. I know Piano Pronto has an incredible library and page about Travis on their website.
Site is so good. Their site is just easy to use. They got the video player, the radio station. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's tremendous. So a shout out to Piano Pronto there. You can listen to the Sonic Bouquet. You can look forward. There's some singles of what you've
the portraits
of the portraits. And then we can all look forward to this next collection too. And it's just so special. Again, myself, I compose alongside students, but I haven't composed myself. But I just have this wild appreciation now of great music that I get to teach students. And I think as a listener and as a teacher, what I also see in diving into music from contemporary composers, and don't get me wrong, I love historical composers. I got my ARCT through the RCM, I love it. But in diving into the music of contemporaries, there's this excitement. Like I told a student yesterday, I was meeting you and that you're working on film score music, and he's 8 and we wrote a song called The Leprechaun Trap, and he was so stoked to think, hey, there's real people still creating music
that
are writing music. So I think it just brings an awareness, and it also just sparks our own imagination when we look at great music and we think, oh wow, this is happening every day. So I just think that's so fun. I asked a question here if people are joining us as a fellow composer or as a music teacher, enthusiast, family, or friends. And I said, or friends we haven't met yet. My son is a real extrovert as well. So he always is like, oh, it's a friend I haven't met, right? So that's kind of fun. Oh, thank you. Going crazy in the kitchen. You say that you love the title. Coffee with Composers. Definitely listen to more of the music of Travis. You'll love it. And if you're in the kitchen rocking out some new fun recipes, you can listen to some really nuanced, gorgeous pieces that you might not have encountered before. And Travis, the other thing that I can't wait is people who hung out with us today. I can't wait for those bigger TV films, and they're going to be like,
Oh,
oh my goodness, I listened to Travis and to his behind the scenes just as an emerging artist, just like already having some things that are being used for television. I think you've won. Was there a recent film that had some neat shout
oh
outs
yeah.
for you?
So one of the films that just recently came out, which is now available on Prime, it was a locally produced feature film
Yeah,
by one of our esteemed Emmy Award directors, and the film is called "Move Me No Mountain."
yeah,
And this was the first time I got a chance to co-compose with another fellow composer
yeah,
here in Vegas, who is more of an electronica type dude. And
yeah,
so David Roden and I, shout out to David because we've known each other a while. David's more of the ambient, dark electronica sound, and then
yeah.
I'm coming from this, orchestral-ish type side.
Mhm.
So our director, like, why don't we put the two together, and
Wow.
we start scoring this together. I mean, I guess not unlike, I'm not likening myself to them, but Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross when they
Yeah.
teamed up for the Social Network. It's like
Yeah.
combining two sides of a different coin, putting it
Hmm.
together. So we would get specific scenes, of this film. Be like, okay, you're going to pose for these, but
Yeah.
Dave goes for these, and
Wow.
so, and then there was actually a track, one of the tracks in the film, where we actually had to meld it together.
Wow.
So that
That's
was different.
That is, and I just what you're telling us today that is just again admiration worthy is the many different roles you're sitting in as a composer today in this modern world. I mean, you've got great access to technology now. So when you're doing your film scores, you're working on the behind the scenes of just tech, then your handwriting scores, you're working collaboratively and having to use that like visual aspect of creating
Yeah.
something with something you're seeing, although people can do it in many different ways. And so I just love it. I think this has been just a really fun way to get a sneak peek behind the scenes of you at work. And I can't wait to continue to celebrate what you're doing. So I just want to shout out some appreciation for our audience here today. We've had the most loyal group stick it through right away, right through to the end. And so I just think it's absolutely fabulous. Let us know in the comments where you're joining us from today. I know we've got, I'm on the west coast of Vancouver Island. It's a beautiful spring ish day, the first kind of week we've had something feeling
Right.
like spring. And where are
Right.
you again? You're in?
So I'm in Las Vegas. So
Yeah,
we are still in the same time zone, which I found really weird.
yeah,
We're on the same time. It's like 50-ish here, so it's better than it's been before. But
yeah,
rain previously, which is very unique for here to have that. It's felt like Seattle kind of, but
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh,
neat.
somebody goes, I'll never get away from playing my favorite nursery. Well,
I love
it's
it.
interesting because one of our fellow pronto composers does twisted versions of nursery rhyme tunes as compositions. It's really cool.
That's
Like,
neat. And on my desk here today too, I have Old MacDonald's Had the Blues by Rebecca Maxner. And it's the
yeah.
same idea, taking like nursery rhymes and like familiar things, and then she's converted them into like ragtime and blues.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
so I
Yeah.
love that composers can take. So Hayden, keep playing those nursery rhymes. And I love that you're the one thinking like creating stuff for children's toys. So that's great. Um, Let's see. Melissa says it's rainy in Atlanta today from Georgia.
Oh,
And oh my goodness, from Sweden, it's still winter, but spring will come. What a hopeful message, I think, for
oh, that's
life
awesome.
and weather. And thank you for joining us from Sweden. How cool is that? And we've got from Maryland. And I saw that Marcus is here from Switzerland, which is so special. So thank you all for being here today. Travis, it's been absolutely a delight to have you here too. And we will be cheering you on into the next like foray of your musical adventures. So thank you.
Amie, it's been an absolute pleasure being on here today. I hope I got a chance to shed some light on, music tech, all those burning questions that people have been having for a while.
Yeah, what a fun sneak peek. I think it was just perfect, and it gets us curious to follow up more of what you're doing in different formats. So we'll say goodbye to our audience, and I'll meet you behind the scenes, Travis. See you all next
All right.
time.
Thank you all so
Yeah.
much. I hope you enjoy
Bye-bye.
it. Bye.